Hello everyone, how's it going? My name is Dan the Tutor, on a quest to become the world's greatest tutor. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to find imaginary solutions from the quadratic formula. So two quick reminders. Imaginary numbers come from when we have negative square roots. Like for instance, the square root of negative 4 can be rewritten as I root 4, because whenever you have a negative inside the square root, you can pull it out as an I. And then we know the square root of 4 is just 2, so this is really just 2i. And the other thing we need to remember with this is the quadratic formula, of course, which is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And what's going to be happening in the problems we do today, there's going to be a negative number under this square root, and we just replace it with I, and then we solve like normal. So here's an example problem of what I'm talking about. Let's say we have y equals x squared plus 4x plus 8. Now remember, the first thing I should always try if I want to find solutions, I should try and factor this. The factors of 8, there's two pairs. You got 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. But neither of these are going to add up to the middle term, which is 4x. So immediately I'm thinking that factoring's not going to work here, and I'm going to the quadratic formula. I don't yet suspect that I'm going to have imaginary solutions, but since I'm using quadratic formula, it means I have to find my a, b, and c. A is the thing in front of x squared, which is the invisible 1. B is the thing in front of the x, which is 4. And c is the constant, which is 8. And now I plug into my quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So then in terms of simplifying this, for the numerator, don't touch the negative 4, plus or minus. 4 squared is 16, minus 4 times 8, which is 32, and then divided by 2 times 1 is 2. And 16 minus 32, that's going to be negative 16, and now I see where the I is going to come in. So from here, there's a couple different ways you can do it, all of which are going to get us the same result. This is what I recommend doing. I would first pull out the I, so that now we have root positive 16, like this. And then we know the square root of 16, it's 4. So in other words, we have negative 4 plus or minus 4i divided by 2. And again, there's a couple ways you can simplify this. For instance, you can divide both terms by 2, and you'll get negative 2 plus or minus 2i, which is a perfectly acceptable answer. Or the other thing you could do is you could split it up to the positive version, and then on the side write the negative solution, and then you divide it by 2 anyway, and you'll get the same answer, negative 2 plus 2i and negative 2 minus 2i, which is the exact same thing. So the point is just whenever you have a negative square root, pull out the I, make it positive, and then solve the quadratic formula like normal. So here's the next one. Y equals negative x squared plus 2x minus 11. And I encourage you to try this on your own first before watching my solution. But I will warn you for this one, the square root is not going to be a perfect square. So if you get stuck on that part, that's fine. Just get as far as you can and then unpause the video to watch my solution. Okay, so first, I'm not even going to bother my time factoring this. I'm just going to go straight for the quadratic formula. A is going to be negative 1 this time, B is going to be 2, and C is going to be negative 11. So then x equals, big fraction bar, negative 2 plus or minus square root of 2 squared minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 11, all divided by 2 times negative 1. Okay, so first, in the numerator, it's going to be 2 squared, which is 4, and then negative 4 times negative 1 times negative 11 is going to be minus 44 divided by negative 2. And then 4 minus 44 is negative 40. So then that means we have this. And of course, this is the step where we just make it negative 2 plus or minus I root 40 divided by negative 2. And now I'm going to say I don't want a decimal for root 40. I want to split up root 40 as much as I can by thinking to myself, what are the factors of 40? We have root 4 and root 10. Root 4 is just going to be 2. And root 10 can simplify to root 2 and root 5. But since that doesn't simplify any further, we just want to leave it as root 10. Or more specifically, 2 root 10. So we have x equals negative 2 plus or minus 2 root 10I divided by negative 2. And then I'm just going to write this out as negative 2 plus 2 root 10I over negative 2 and negative 2 minus 2 root 10I over negative 2. So when I simplify the first one and just divide by negative 2, that's going to get me 1 minus root 10I. And for the second one, it's going to be 1 plus root 10I. And these are my two answers. Or if you wrote it as 1 plus or minus root 10I, that would be correct as well. Now, one fun fact for you before we go to the final problem today. The solutions to these imaginary roots will always be complementary to each other. What I mean by that, the answer will always be 3 plus or minus some imaginary number. Even if it's something like 4 plus or minus 10 root 5I, it's always going to be plus or minus the imaginary part. That is not a coincidence. This always happens. So then here's the final problem for today. Again, I encourage you to try it on your own first. Y equals 2x squared minus 8x plus 15. Find the solutions. Okay, and here's how we're going to do it. First, I would say A is 2, B is negative 8, and C is 15. So then that means x equals, careful here, double negative 8 makes it positive 8 plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then now we're just simplifying. 8 plus or minus negative 8 squared is positive 64, of course, because negative numbers squared become positive. And then that's going to be minus 4 times 2 times 15. That's going to be 120. And then divided by 4. So then 64 minus 120, that's going to be negative 56. Which of course means I'm just going to rewrite it as I root 56 divided by 4. And then I have to figure out how root 56 breaks down. I know the factors are 8 and 7, and the factors of 8 are 4 and 2. And I know root 4 is 2. So I'd be left here with 2 root 7, which is the same thing as 2 root 14. So in other words, x equals 8 plus or minus 2 root 14I divided by 4. So then all of these have a 2 in common. So then I can cancel out a 2. And that would leave me with 4 plus or minus root 14I over 2. And you can either leave it like this, or you can split apart the fraction, and you'd get x equals 4 over 2, which is 2, plus or minus root 14 over 2I. And this would be perfectly correct as well. So hopefully that made sense. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments section. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.